Hey everyone, I'm really excited to have you back for another insightful video. It feels like just yesterday we explored a piercing that went awry, and today we're going to dive deep into another case of poor piercing execution. However, I want to approach this discussion a bit differently than usual. Today, I'm going to explain and demonstrate why choosing to get a cartilage piercing with a Caflon earring is, in my professional opinion, one of the worst decisions you can make when opting for a new piercing. Let's get started by taking a closer look at what a Caflon earring is. Typically, these earrings are sold in pairs and are available in two main finishes, gold-plated and silver-plated. It's essential to note that these are not made of real gold or silver, they are merely coated. When it comes to piercing with these studs, the process necessitates the use of a piercing gun. Now, before we move any further, I should admit that I have very limited experience with piercing guns. In my nearly 10 years of performing piercings, I only used a gun once during my training back in 2016, and it was such a negative experience that I vowed never to use one again. If you examine the tip of the Caflon stud closely, you'll notice that it's somewhat sharpened. This design is intentional as the stud is meant to pierce the skin. However, what many don't realize is how this shape can impact the piercing process. Moreover, the post of the earring exhibits varying thickness along its length, resembling small ridges. These ridges play a crucial role. They help determine how tightly the stopper fits against the skin. This design poses several risks, especially for fresh piercings, as it's quite challenging to adjust the tightness of the stopper once the jewelry is in place. To emphasize my point, let me provide two additional reasons why Caflon earrings are ill-suited for cartilage piercings. First, the mechanics of the gun can create significant issues. The piercing gun operates with a spring-loaded mechanism that exerts intense pressure at a rapid speed. However, this force is generally insufficient to push the blunt jewelry through flesh effectively. Despite its somewhat pointy appearance, the truth is these ear-piercing studs are quite dull. Successful piercings should ideally involve a piercing needle, which cleanly creates an opening rather than crushing the tissue. When a stud is forced through the skin with excess pressure, it results in blunt force trauma, akin to a crush injury, which can lead to serious tissue damage. The second critical issue is that many Caflon earrings are simply too short for cartilage piercings. Initially, the piercing gun might seem to provide enough force to lock the stopper in place. Once it's secured, however, the surrounding tissue gets compressed and cannot return to its normal state. This compression leads to irritation and restricts air and blood flow, prolonging the healing process and increasing the risk of complications, including scarring. If the jewelry is too tight, it can even result in additional swelling and the jewelry becoming embedded into the cartilage itself. This risk is particularly prevalent with stud guns, even when the piercing is performed correctly. Jewelry that fits too closely also poses a risk for infection, as it prevents thorough cleaning. During the healing phase, the body expels fluids containing cellular discharge, and if these fluids cannot escape properly, they coagulate and create a perfect environment for bacteria to thrive. In the case we are reviewing today, our client has had her nose piercing for just 7 days. I believe she's experiencing the second issue I mentioned, the tightness of the earring against her cartilage. If she had stayed with this piercing for another 7 to 14 days, the stud could have completely embedded into the nose cartilage. Speaking of this, there is a perfect example of such a case where the client waited for too long to seek help. And if you're interested in seeing that video, please click the link on the top right corner of your screen. Trust me, you don't want to wait too long like that previous client. Her experience was incredibly painful. Fortunately, I was able to assist her in the end. Before we move on, I had assumed that most people were well informed about the risks associated with piercing guns, but judging by the increasing number of clients we see with related issues, it's clear we need to raise awareness. You can help with this effort by sharing this video with your friends, or you can like this video, which will encourage the YouTube algorithm to promote it to a wider audience. Like many clients who come to me with similar issues, she initially assumed that my solution would be straightforward. Simply remove the problematic stud and replace it with the recommended one. However, upon closer inspection, it became clear that the size of the hole left behind from the original stud was far too deep and wide to risk a direct replacement. Even if I were to use a larger stud, there's a possibility that the same issue could occur again due to the compromised tissue. To ensure the best outcome for her piercing, I advised her to wait a minimum of 30 days before we could even consider redoing the piercing. I explained that this waiting period would allow the skin time to heal properly and reduce the risk of further complications. However, she expressed that this time frame felt excessive and inconvenient for her. Ultimately, rather than wait, she made the decision to go ahead and get the piercing done on her right side instead. It was an interesting choice, especially considering that she had previously attempted to pierce herself 3 times during her high school years, emphasizing her adventurous spirit. I appreciate that you found this video interesting. No wonder you've stayed with me till the very end. Please like, share, and subscribe for more educational videos about piercing.